today I'm going to be showing you my watercolor collection, and yeah, so let's just get started. I want to show you this watercolor palette that I actually made myself. This was meant to be for when I go outdoors and do plein air painting. So as you can see, I've got a tiny little mixing area and 6 colours that I can mix and match, and a brush that I got from somewhere, I can't remember, and I put it into this card holder which was from a discount store, and yeah, I took out the slots and then put this in. This is really light, you can carry it with you to anywhere really because it's so light. Then I got this Meaden colour palette, and this is also for outdoors. And as you can see, I haven't completely put my paints in just little more than dots. It's just something I can carry for the day and paint. There's more space here, and yeah, and more colours in this palette. So that's the Meaden watercolour palette. You can get this from Amazon. So this is my watercolour palette from Sennelier, the French brand, and this watercolour palette, I bought it 2 years ago, probably over 2 years ago. These are professional watercolours for artists, so they're artist grade watercolours. This set I purchased from Amazon, and it came with all these colours. So you got 2 yellows, 2 reds, pink, 2 blues, 2 greens, and 2 browns, and a black colour, black grey. And this can be used as a palette as well, but I've never used it for that because it's quite heavy. It weighs a lot, so I would just take the colours from here and transfer them in my other palettes that I just showed you, and so they're easier to carry. And I only actually use Sennelier watercolours. I decided to invest in professional colours from the start, artist grade, because it's just better to spend on professional colours, because if you buy artist grade watercolours, then you're set. It lasts you a long time, so it's a good investment rather than getting lots of cheap brands. But of course that's an individual preference. I decided to start with professional stuff. And this palette, I purchased this palette from Amazon as well. And this is actually my main studio palette that I actually work from. So I've got all the colours from the palette that I've just shown you, and extras that I've added to my studio palette. They're all Sennelier watercolours, all artist grade. This is fantastic, this palette, and I'll tell you why. Because you can quite easily wipe everything in the mixing area. You can take off the colours and you're left with very little staining if you clean everything straight away, or even if you clean it after a few days, there's not much staining. Yeah, so I've put them in the order how I would see them. So you've got the blues here, the greens, and the earth tones here, and then I can also mix the greens, or I can make other greens from the blues. And I think I'll just put mainly the more colours that are grass, sky and earth here, and then I put more like the reddish tones on this side and the purplish tones, so like more for the florals, because I mainly paint florals. I do paint other things as well, but mainly florals it is. So yeah, this is my main studio palette, and so far I love it, and I wish to add more watercolours as well on here, and there's one here and there's one here, so that's like, I don't know, 6. I do have some white gouache here which I added just for highlights or making some past shades. So that's it. This is always in my studio. Now I'm going to show you my Faber-Castell watercolours. So these are also professional grade, artist grade watercolours in the pencil form. They do work quite differently. I will show you in another video, maybe in the future, how I found them and what I thought about them. But for now, I will just show you this. So these are just basics. These are just basic colours, and I thought they were great for maybe travelling, wanting to paint outdoors. This is I thought this was more portable, so I purchased these anyway. I did add more to this collection, which I'll show you. I added these. These were open stock, which I purchased from Jackson's Art, which we have in the UK. And yeah, so these were open stock. They were more earth and tones and skin tones, preferable for me to do like maybe animals or faces. Yeah, so these were just extras that I added. Like I said, I will do maybe a painting with these and give my feedback about these. And just to let you know that all these art materials I have purchased myself. I'm not sponsored by anyone or any company. I forgot to mention that, so basically these extras that I purchased were from also Jackson's open stock. I think these I actually ordered online from them, whereas the pencils I actually went into their store and purchased those. This is the white gouache from Winsor & Newton. I'm not too sure if I use it correctly or if I don't know. I'm not too sure about this. I think as a product it's probably fine, but maybe I don't know how to use it properly. I find it's too watery. It's great for probably mixing with the watercolours and just making them slightly pastel, I think. So I've got these extras, and these extras are more for the floral paintings that I do. So the purples, the violets, the red tones, the orange tones, the yellow tones. So I did add quite a lot to my actual palette, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 here that I purchased open stock. Okay. And the other palette that is from Sennelier, I think in this palette they have, so in this box it's 12. So yeah, I did add quite a bit. And I did this slowly, I didn't do it straight away because I wanted to see how I felt with the paints. And that's why I decided they're perfect for me. I actually did do research, but I just wanted to see what they're like when you try them out. And when I did try them out, I realised that actually they're perfect for what I need them for. And that's why I decided to invest in the following year. It was actually a year apart from when I bought the first Sennelier watercolours, and then I bought the other ones, the extra open stock, and that's when I decided to invest more. So my art supplies have come slowly to me. I've invested bit by bit. Okay, so now I will show you, so that's my main watercolours that I use, which are Sennelier watercolours. The watercolour pencils I use very rarely. I don't use them that much. And now I'm going to move on to, they're not watercolours, they're inks. This I was given as a gift, and these inks, they're not watercolours, but they are, they're better watercolours slightly, I would say. And they're much more flowy, easier to work with. And these are another ones that you could take away with you and use them on your travels, or if you're sitting somewhere in the house where your main studio is, and you can use them wherever, you can take them wherever you need them. And they're easy to work with as well. That's what I found. And then these inks I actually used again for travel. So for travel, for plein air painting, I decided to use these these are inks and they're by a brand called Chromatech. The colours are really nice, they're really vibrant. You do get a water brush pen with this, and yeah, and there's how many colours? I think there's 24 colours in this. And this is another pack that you can really take with you and carry with you, and you just have to fill in the water brush, which it comes in the pack. You also actually get, you do also get a water colouring book with some paint drawings on, and that comes with it as well, so you can practice. And the paper's good, and these colours are good. You could also use these on hot pressed paper. If you use these on hot pressed paper or sketchbooks, they are fantastic. They're very vibrant colours. And yeah, they're not watercolours, but they're inks which kind of act like watercolours slightly. But yeah, they're fantastic too. And then we have these. So these are the, is it Claro? I can't remember the name, sorry for the mispronunciation, but I decided to get a small one from, this is from Amazon. They're all actually, everything's from Amazon. Some things are from Jackson's Art, and I think one thing is from as a gift. So this is just a little bit that I could add some, you know, sparkle to my finished watercolor paintings. And I don't use them for everything, but some. And they're pretty good, quite vibrant. And I was just testing it out, so that's why I just bought this, because it had the silver and the gold and it was kind of cute. Let's see what else, watercolors. Got this Winsor & Newton art masking fluid, and this I haven't used. I have seen a lot of artists use this, and I know how to use it, but I haven't actually used it myself, not yet. And you would just shake this and apply it, and then peel it off once your painting is dry, and then you should have areas that are just white, or the white paper is left showing through instead of so it acts like almost like a rubber, yeah, like a coating that you peel off, a bit like glue. This is Gamblin's Cold Wax. All my watercolor paintings that I decide to either have as archival, I mean everything's archival anyway if you're using professional watercolor grade, artist grade paper or artist grade paints, so it's already archival if you're using all those good quality materials. And if you want to go an extra step, you can use cold wax, and I use this for my paintings that I think should be archival, that maybe I might sell. So this is fantastic for that. It's very easy to use and doesn't take long. You do need to let the painting sit for 24 hours, I think, so it's completely protected. And you can do actually quite a few thin layers on your paintings with this. Once your paintings have dried, of course, you put it on with a cloth. It's almost like gently polishing your paintings after they've completely dried. Preserve them even further. You can use sprays as well, but I decided just to use cold wax. And I also have this. So this is the Daniel Smith watercolor ground in titanium white. This is also prepping canvases that are already kind of done. I'll show you one here. Like for example, this tiny little canvas that I found in a discount shop. You just would use this ground on there, paint it, and then sand it. So yeah, so I would say these come together kind of like sandpaper is quite good to smooth the ground after you've applied it and it's completely dried. And you also can use this in thin layers, which I do. So that's the watercolor ground, and this is what I apply them with. So this is the watercolor ground brush, which I found in another discount store DIY section, a £1 brush. I had a set of 3, but one of them is ruined. But this one, what I've learnt is that you need to wash your brushes straight away after you've used the masking fluid, which I haven't used yet, but I'm aware that you need to wash the brush straight away, and you need to have a separate brush. And also same with the ground, you need to have a separate brush and wash it straight away as soon as you've applied the ground. Otherwise you will end up with something like this. I mean, I tried to fix it, but really I would have to soak it overnight or something. But yeah, this is what happened. So yep, advice there. And this is, once you've sanded the canvas, you get like dust from, of course, the sanding, and I use this brush just to clear the dust from the canvases. So really useful tools, very inexpensive. And let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, this is all my washi tapes for my watercolors. And yeah, I've got quite a lot. I actually had more than this, but I have used them. And yeah, you need these to hold down your paper, or either on a canvas board or any board. Fantastic. And it also gives nice clean borders as well to your paintings. So yep, quite a few of these. Leave them here. I think it's quite nice to have a palette that is ceramic for watercolors, because the paint mixing for watercolors is much more easier on a smoother surface than, say, for example, plastic. So I would say, if you can, they're not that expensive. You could use a plate as well, but this way you keep certain colours separate if you're working on something, and you can put this in a bag and then reuse it. If you had colours already on here and, for example, you were painting something and then you didn't finish the painting but you wanted to keep the colours instead of washing the palette, you could put it in a plastic bag or a paper bag and then reuse those colours, re-wet them and reuse them. And it's much easier to use on ceramic or like the metal tin that I had, and there's no staining as well, which is really good, because with plastic it stains the plastic and after a while it doesn't look nice. You can't see what you're mixing. This is something like extra, so I decided to buy a little mist that I purchased from, it can be purchased from any pharmacy or any store really where they have this type of thing. So it was really for cosmetics. I purchased this for the water for watercolor painting, so I can carry this anywhere, and I can also give a different effect. Maybe I'll show you one day what those can be. Let's see. Okay, so we have salts as well. So I've got here large chunks of salt. It's just, it can be any salt really, rock salt, Himalayan salt, table salt, but you get different, I've put different types of salt in here, but this gives a lovely texture to your painting, watercolor paintings. It depends what effect you're going for. So I just put it in any little, it was a cosmetic case, and I decided to clean it out and store my salt for paintings in here. Okay, so now I'll move on. You need I basically get these face towels, which I buy them quite inexpensively from a discount store. Discount stores are like Poundland or Pound Stretcher in England. I'm not sure what they're called in other countries, but I just get those, and these are fantastic for using with the watercolors to dry your brushes or when you're mixing from one color to the next, and it absorbs the wetness from the brush quite well, and you can reuse them, and they're more economical and better as well for the environment. Also, I've got a sponge here. It's a cosmetic sponge. I've got it because if I wanted to use it, I could cut it out and use it for different textures. Sorry, I'm just checking how long is my video. And yeah, I just cut it up and do different textures. I haven't done any so far with the sponge, but I may do. And you could also use it for cleaning your palette. Maybe you have a sponge that you can just wipe your palette with each time you use it, and then it gets cleaned and all the colours are on here instead. You just wipe it down. Let's see this. I don't really have a huge brush collection. I don't collect tons and tons of, I'll be honest with you, I don't really collect tons of watercolour materials. I've personally decided from the beginning to invest in great quality materials from the get-go, so they last me a few years. And I've also decided to have them because I don't want tons of art materials. I'm a bit of a... I've got lots of art materials, but not that much. I've got enough for me to get by, and it's because I've invested in expensive materials from the start instead of cheap ones. It's my own personal preference. I think that if you're going to spend money on something, do it one time and get the best, and make sure you get something that is really what you need for your work, instead of buying tons of things just to... I mean, it's good to try things out, but I don't see the point just taking up space and it just sits there. So these brushes I got from Amazon as well, and these are the silver black velvet round, and they're perfect because most of my paintings, like I said, are florals. I do paint other things as well, but it's mainly like nature type of stuff. So the rounds are perfect for that. You've got a large, a medium and a small, and you can get great detail with these, and they're perfect. I bought this quill. I've only used it once or twice, to be quite honest. The thing is, I don't paint that large. It's good. It's a good quality brush, but I just don't use it that often. Maybe if I was painting quite like large paintings, then maybe I would use this and see how that would be, but I have used it a few times. But I mainly use these three because my paintings are quite small. So, and this brush, it's like a craft brush, and this I purchased because for the small detailed areas, if I wanted something a bit darker, I've noticed that it's better just to get a craft brush to get into those detail areas instead of having a water brush, which is quite soft, and sometimes it holds a lot of water. Yes, you can dry it, but still sometimes you just want to get into those nooks and crannies of a painting and, you know, darken certain areas. So I think a craft brush like this, or a bristle brush that is very fine, is great for getting into those details. I have got another finer brush, but smaller than this, but I used it for acrylic paint. I'm not really an acrylic painter, but I was just testing something out, and I decided to just keep it for that. I try not to mix my watercolor brushes with any other medium. It's just for it's only for watercolors. I keep those separate. This brush, I received this brush actually in the palette that was with the Sennelier paint tubes. This was part of it. I decided to use this because I don't really use it. I like something that has a point. I mean, I suppose you could make a point with this, but I use this for the... I've used it, I think I may have used it for something, and I'm not sure what, but as you can see, I didn't clean it properly. And yeah. And finally, you need 2 jars of water, because we're painting with watercolors, and these are just 2 jars that I had some, I don't know, olives or pickles in, and then I used them. This one I have used for acrylic painting, but once you clean them out, and you can use them for watercolor. So 1 jar is normally used for the first clean and then the second clean, so your brush is really completely clean when you're mixing colors and they don't blend in together. And that's it. That's my watercolor supplies that I have. It's not a lot, but it does the job because they're professional watercolors for artists. And I will do another video maybe later on in the future regarding what I use for papers. Yeah, that's right, you need paper, don't you? Paper, and I've shown you that I've started actually recently get into the painting on watercolor ground on canvases. So I've really enjoyed doing that, but I think it's quite different from using paper. So I will go into that in another video. So thank you for stopping by.